Hey kids, I'm making this video about managing money. I'm not a financial planner, so check all this information on your own. This is just my opinion. I've always had some debt in my life. Sometimes it's been pretty small compared to my income and savings, which isn't so bad. Sometimes it's been more than I could pay back if I sold everything I owned. That's not so good. I can tell you this, overall, it feels really good to be debt-free, and it feels constantly painful and stressful to have debt hanging over you. My experience is that all the cool stuff in the world does not feel as good as being able to pay your bills stress-free. How do you do this? There's no magic formula other than to minimize your expenses and save something. Save any few dollars that you can, because you will have an emergency, and this will be the start of many people's debt. Having a few bucks in reserve can really help. Of course, the other reason people get into debt is that advertising works. Companies are smart at how they market to us, from putting impulse purchases in the checkout lane, to monopolies that raise prices for eyeglasses, to creating cults that require that we have the latest $1,200 iPhone. If you're spending so much that you aren't saving some money, it's time to throttle back. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, which is scary and not fun. There's a lot of reasons for this, and no judgment here. One of the big reasons is that minimum wage hasn't moved and cost of living continues to go up. Things like crappy health insurance, car problems, and student loans can easily overwhelm a person's income. What does living paycheck to paycheck mean? It means that you don't have enough money saved so that missing just one paycheck will prevent you from paying a bill or buying some necessities. Necessities being food, not weed. Most people in our country fall into this category, a surprisingly large number of people. There are a lot of sources about how to manage your money. Some people call this financial literacy. That's fancy sounding, but there's really no rocket science here. I like a simple approach. A while back, a fellow named Harold Pollack made an offhand comment that everything you need to know about finances could fit onto an index card. Another truth is that even financial professionals sell you their services as being super complex so that they can take a cut of your money. Anyhow, that's what Mr. Pollack did. And then, ironically, ended up writing a whole book about it. But regardless, here's what the card said, not necessarily in the order of importance. Number 1, maximize your 401k or equivalent contribution. Number 2, buy inexpensive, well-diversified mutual funds such as Vanguard targeted date funds. 3, never buy individual securities. The person on the other side of the table knows more than you do about this stuff. 4, save 20% of your money. 5, pay your credit card bill in full every month. 6, maximize tax advantage savings vehicles like Roth, SEP, and 529 accounts. 7, pay attention to fees. Avoid managed funds. 8, make a financial advisor commit to a fiduciary standard. 9, promote social insurance programs to help people when things go wrong. Now, if you're a new high school graduate, then the focus of this should be to start with number 4, save money. Number 5, pay your credit card bill. And maybe number 1, maximize your 401k. Paying credit cards. You should be treating your credit card like a debit card. Don't spend the money unless you have the money to pay it off in the bank at this very moment. Not, I'll have it after the next paycheck. You never know what expense may pop up. Money in hand first, then spend later after you've saved some of it. If you can't do this, reconsider the purchase. Wait until you do have the money. Find a cheaper version. Borrow the item from the friend. Go to the library. Don't get upside down. For fuck's sake, don't pay those billionaires at Visa a dime of interest. Full disclosure, I was on a revolving credit cycle for years. I paid hundreds in interest every year, money that I could have been saving or spending on my family. It's stressful and it sucks. I know what you're thinking. What if I have an emergency? Maybe a car repair. Fair enough. You can always use your credit card for this, but ideally you've saved some cash to pay for this urgent expense. See the rules above. If you don't, adjust your budget immediately to get that emergency expense paid off as fast as possible. And just to be clear, an emergency is breaking your leg, not a one-day sale on the latest PlayStation. Don't spend it if you don't have it. It feels good to be debt-free. Next topic, saving 20% or 10% or 5% of what you earn, but save something. You should have some cash available for emergencies. Put it in a savings account at the bank. You won't earn much money on it, but it will be handy. The easiest way to do this is to have an automatic transfer. Use your online banking app and match the transfer to your paycheck cycle. That way you don't have to think about it and you have that money dropped into savings before you even have a chance to spend it. This is called paying yourself first. If the money's already in your savings account, you're less likely to piss it away on mocha lattes or Warhammer 40K figurines. Eventually, you want to build a war chest that can sustain you if you lose your job for 3 to 6 months. It's hard to do. It takes time and consistency, but you can do it. Once you get to this point, you'll suddenly realize you have some new freedom in your life. If you don't like your job, you can shop around with less fear. But you're smart enough, of course, to know that you won't quit until you already have the next job lined up. You'll have some money if you want to move cities for a better opportunity. Losing your job during the next pandemic will be a little less scary. It's a great feeling. Now let's talk for a minute about barriers to keeping that credit card paid off and being able to save some money. In other words, your expenses. The first is probably rent. I've noticed that rents have been going up too fast. Most decent 2-bedroom apartments cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. That stinks, but until you can afford a down payment on a house, rent is in your future. What can you do about it? Shop smart. Usually the most up-and-coming neighborhoods have the highest rates. Consider a less popular location. Go for older locations. Even if they look a little tired on the outside, you can still make the inside feel homey. When I was in the Navy, we lived in 6 apartments in 3 years. Within a week, my wife had hung pictures and made each place feel like a home. You could get a roommate. Splitting the expenses in half or more can be huge. But there's one huge warning here. Get their name on the lease too. I don't care how long you've been friends. If they're related to you, if it's your live-in significant other and you will be together forever. If they are not on the lease, then when they move for a better job, lose all their money in a bad Bitcoin investment, or go on a shroom rage and punch holes in the wall, you will be on the hook. Hell, even with their name on the lease anyway, you still may be on the hook, but at least you'd have some legal recourse. Just think what would happen to your monthly budget if they simply stopped paying the rent one day. Now you're in one of those financial emergencies that we discussed and trapped into a lease of some length that you can't easily get out of. Summary, roommate's good, get them to sign the lease. The second big expense that can keep you from paying off your credit card and saving money is a car. This one's tough because cars are expensive and necessary for most people. Ultimately, you want the most reliable, lowest cost of ownership car for the least amount of money. If you can't do your own maintenance, then you may want to spend a bit more on a more reliable car. Making those car choices is a whole nother topic, so for now, let's discuss what not to do. Do not do as I did when I was a teenager / 20-something. I owned about 11 cars in the first 8 years I was driving. Why? I like cars. I'd rotate to the next thing because it was cool or a good deal or whatever. I spent so much money on car payments and depreciations and licensing fees. Dumb. At one point, I think I was spending about 60% of my income on rent plus car payments. Not so smart. So if you are buying a car, here's a few things to consider. Cars are depreciating assets and new cars depreciate faster. That means they lose their value just sitting around. To minimize this effect, consider a used car that still has warranty time left. Pick a brand with better reliability. Think Toyota, Honda, Hyundai. Those are fine. Land Rover, Volkswagen, Fiat, maybe not so much. The last car I bought had 30,000 miles and was 40% less than the new car price and still had 70,000 miles left on the warranty. Do not buy more car than you should. Options like GPS and big wheels and leather are expensive. At the end of the day, a car is designed to get you from A to B reliably. All the other stuff is just nice to have. Whatever you do, don't get sucked into a long-term loan. Of course, ideally pay for your car out of savings, but if you can't, minimize the loan length. Right now, there are 60, 70, and even 84-month loans. They are far too long and simply a way for the dealer to get you to spend more money while they earn more interest. Will you still want that car in 84 months? That's 7 years from now. Will it still be reliable? Is your loan period longer than the warranty period? All big red flags. Those long loans also tie you up because you'll be upside down in your loan. This means that you may owe more on the car than it's worth. Quick example, you sign up to pay off a $35,000 car loan over 84 months. At a 5% interest rate, you'll be paying about $500 a month and paying the bank an extra $6,500 in interest over the life of the loan. That's money you could spend on other stuff. That's now a $41,500 car, plus maintenance, plus gas, plus insurance, plus taxes. Worse, a year from now, when you have 15,000 miles on it, maybe it's only worth about $28,000, but you still owe $36,000 in payment. That means you can't even sell the car and get completely out of debt. I mean, you shouldn't have to pay the extra interest if you're paying off the loan early, but you get my point. This is called being upside down, being underwater, or having negative equity. No matter how you say it, it sucks. Again, I have been there. The third thing that sneaks up on you, assuming you don't have a bunch of student loans, another topic for another time, is recurring monthly payments. This is the new business model that pulls money from your pocket. Everything from streaming services to software to gyms and even car washes, for goodness sake. You have to find a way to control these. Look at your credit card statement and start looking at these charges. Some items that may already be on your list are Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Spotify, iCloud storage, gym fees. The list just goes on and on. And don't forget about annual expenses that may pop up and surprise you. Amazon Prime, Headspace, club memberships like Costco or Barnes & Noble. Get rid of every one that you can, and then don't sign up for anything new. Or if you add something, commit to dropping another one. You may be surprised how much this adds up. Finally, this is a good point to start thinking about a monthly budget. Start adding up all your recurring expenses. Start with your desired savings amount. Remember, pay yourself first. Then fill in the details. Rent, car payment, utilities like gas, internet, water, cell phone, electricity, any recurring monthly expenses, any recurring annual expenses divided by 12. Food, eating or drinking out's expensive. Don't underestimate what you're spending here. Gas, car insurance, taxes on your car. Now list all your sources of income. For most of us, that's one job, but maybe you've got some gig stuff going on. If your income is less than your expenses, then you have to make some adjustments. Keep the savings. It's one of your most critical expenses. Pare away elsewhere. If you still can't close the gap, then you need a plan. A plan includes definite action items. For example, sell my car and buy a cheaper one. Get a roommate. Cancel Disney Plus. A good plan should also have a timeline. Within 4 weeks. By tomorrow. No later than November 30th. None of this is easy, especially in the current economy, but you can do it with a plan and a lot of discipline. Save money. Pay your credit card to zero every month. All right, that's enough for now. If you have questions, let me know. Again, I'm not a financial professional. Don't trust anything that I've said. Do your own research. Make your own decisions. All right, have fun. Be safe.